here you have it. We're probably about 99.5% done on the upgrade on the 76. We've received a bunch of gear from our friends at Tough Gear Trading, who basically broker the best gear there is available in the market to the rest of the world. And let's start off by saying, firstly, as you can see, I'm full of mud, the truck's full of mud. We've been living in the car for the past 7 or 8 days testing the new gear. So this is by no means any showroom spit and polish, keep the car nice and clean. This is real life testing products, getting out there and giving you an honest review. In saying that, I have to mention this before we start with it, is that we're not sponsored, we're not paid by any of the brands that we're going to be running through. We've been given gear from the likes of Tough Dog, Airbag Man, Red Arc, Vision Ultralights, BF Goodrich that you know, and of course the tent, right? So there we go. Of course I was not going to change my tent. I've been keeping you in suspense for some time now on which tent we're going to go with. There is no ways that I would change the brand of tent. And we spoke to the guys at Bundutech and we negotiated with a brand new tent. We will not change. And if I had to pay for it myself, I would have bought one. We've been testing the Bundutop from Bundutech tent for the past probably about 15 months. And Ant and I can honestly tell you that it's the most comfortable rooftop tent there is. Not only is it obviously ease of use, just pushing a button and it goes up, pushing a button it goes down, especially with, well, I'll take real life examples. For the last 3-4 days here on Salalah Peninsula, we've had thunder showers, squalls coming through. So wherever you place your fire at night, to get a bit of warmth or to do your cooking, that smoke was not going in one direction. It was swirling all over the place, which means that you end up with a stinky tent. Now, any of you that have spent any amount of time overlanding or off-roading and camping, you know that once that smell of the smoke gets into the tent, it is virtually impossible to get rid of it. So for the rest of your life living with that tent on the vehicle, it's going to have that smell every time, that stench every time you open it up. Now, the beauty of this is press the button, drop the tent, and the smoke can go wherever it likes. When you're ready for bed, hit the button, get into bed, and off you go. Tent is pristine at all times. So we weren't going to change. Some of you guessed it right, of course. So we're sticking with the Bundutech brands, both the awning as well as the Bundutop. The awning, again, you know, the full 360 is just insane. There are some great awnings out there, guys. My personal preference is this awning because I love the fact that it covers up the front of the vehicle and keeps the cab cool. Right, so in saying that, should we discuss electrical right now? Okay, fine. Keeping the cab cool is important to me right now because we've changed from the yellow top Optima batteries to 2 lithium ion 75 amp hour batteries. Now we've moved the batteries from the engine compartment. So the yellow tops used to be in here. I used to have 2 of them, 55 amp hour batteries, plus the cranking battery, which is still in the front here. And I've moved them into the rear of the vehicle. Now, let me go into this part over here right now, is the configuration that we got this 76 in. And as you know, we imported the 76 in 2014 from Oman because they weren't available in the United Arab Emirates. A year later, they were available in the United Arab Emirates. However, it was only the petrol. So I'm not interested in the petrol. I love the diesel. The 4.2 diesel straight 6 is underpowered, but it is an absolute machine off-road. Absolute machine. It has its shortcomings when it gets to the desert, and yes, every diesel has its shortcomings getting to the desert because it doesn't rev high enough for you to climb the massive dunes that we have here, right? The smaller dunes, I'm thinking about Australia, I'm thinking about parts of the Cocofel, well, not the Cocofel, parts of Namibia. You can get by on the diesels, but when you start getting into the Liwas and the Empty Quarter and the Wahiba Sands, you need that raw grunt that a petrol motor can give. However, let's not get into that. I wanted the diesel, and the 4.2 only comes with a configuration of a single seat and a half bench seat for the passenger. Probably the most uncomfortable seat you've ever had in your entire life, and my poor wife had to endure it for the last almost 5 years. But finally, I found somebody that just bought a new 79, I think it was, and basically changed it and put 200 series seats in there, and I picked up the 2 front seats for that. So we've changed the configuration, 2 front seats, and I've taken my driver's seat and I've put it behind the passenger seat, behind Ant's seat, for an additional passenger. When Jordan joins us on these trips, he has a space to sit, and when he's not traveling, it doubles up as a good spot for our clothing bag, and all those goodies can go in there. Next to that, I have built a command center, if you want to call it that. So what we've done is we put the 275 amp hour batteries there. We've put red arc there. I've stuck in the compressor with the air tank also in this spot. So I've utilized this whole area and created a box kind of area that I can access if I need to repair or change anything or add anything to the battery. But importantly, what I've done is I've created like an electrical box. It is not new, it's everybody does it, but the electrical box is right there at the batteries. So my voltage drop on long cables that I used to have running from the engine bay to the accessories no longer exists because my batteries are there, my red arc is right there. The only cable that I have or electrical wire that I have that runs the length of the vehicle or 3/4 of the vehicle is from the alternator, the cranking battery obviously connected to the red arc, basically through to the red arc system to the 75 amp hour batteries over there. So the alternator sending its how many ever amp hour, I don't even know, I don't really care, through to the red arc, basically then charges the batteries, and from there my fridges, my all my accessories are running from there. And I think the longest wiring that we utilized was to run to the dashboard, which is probably about 1.5 meters. So everything, because it's central on the rear seat, it's just running to the back of the vehicle, running to the front of the vehicle, and I'm getting no voltage drop. Touching on the lithium-ion batteries, I have 3 rules in this truck. First rule, power. Conserve power, conserve power, conserve power. If you want something cooled or if you want something charged, make sure that you do it early in the morning so that the solar panels are running and assisting the batteries to do that. Don't arrive at 7 o'clock at night after sunset and say, Dad or Lovey, please can you charge my phone, my iPad? Please can you freeze some water for us to make some ice or cool down, whatever it is, because then you're running 100% off the battery. And you've got 12 hours before the sun comes up, or depending on where you are in the world, but you've got a number of hours before you've got any external assistance to the battery, whether it be solar or you have to physically crank the car. Now, doesn't matter what I did, 200 amp hour, 200 watt solars, the flexi solars that I run and basically move them around the vehicle to get the optimal wattage out of whatever, the optimum voltage and the optimum wattage from the sun. would not be able to charge those two yellow tops to full capacity. And I would wake up in the morning and I'd be 10.5, 10.8, and I would be smiling if I was above 12 volts or getting up to 12.4. I'd be so happy. 8 days with these lithium-ion batteries, and I have been running my inverter full time. I've been really trying to abuse them to see the lowest that I've got on these batteries, 13.1. Insane, insane. Now, that is twofold. Obviously, the lithium-ion batteries take a charge very, very quickly, but you need to make sure that you've got a management system or a BC-DC charger that can execute the voltage that that battery needs. Now, red arc, let's get into that right now. Come on, man. I don't think anybody out there watching this right now can dispute that isn't the number one management or battery charging system available in the market today. Now, I've only been using it for 8 days. Yeah, I think this is 7 or 8 days today. Obviously, we've installed it and I've been fooling around with it. But, man, I'm at full capacity. Even an overcast day like today, I'm at full capacity by 11, 12 o'clock. And that's insane. Right, so what am I using to charge them now? So during the day, vehicle's off, I have installed two 100-watt fixed solar onto the roof of the Bundertop. It's Renogy, if anybody wants to ask, and I bring them in from the States. I've been using Renogy for the last 5 years. I buy the product. I haven't been sponsored by them. I haven't been given any gear by them. I would love to get the gear. I think it is the top-notch solar available on the market, especially for what we're using. Again, my opinion. There are solar options available here in the United Arab Emirates, which are typically Chinese. I mean, let's face it, everything gets made in China. It just depends on how well the project management is of the product that has been made. But in Dragon Mart, you can go and get your flexi panels or the fixed panels over there. For me personally, I brought them in from the States. Again, like I said, I have 3 rules in my truck, and the first one is the power. Now, I don't have to worry about that anymore. My life has changed. My life has changed. With the lithium-ion battery red arc setup, it's a combination you cannot beat. And we're going to abuse it. We've got the 1000-watt inverter that runs to get all the camera gear charged, and I haven't managed to get to a point where I'm worried about power. If you wanted to know, the other 2 was water. Don't waste the water because we've only got a short supply of water. And the third one is where you find it, make sure you put it back, because otherwise you would never find it in a truck like this. And any of you that are running trailers or overland vehicles, you know that every spot has, or every item in the truck has, number one, it has 2 purposes, and number 2, if you don't put it in the right spot, you'll never find it. Things go missing for years inside trucks like this. Okay, right, so let's talk aesthetics. So front bar, great. Happy with the Icon bumper. All we did is we refurbed it, took it off. It had taken a bit of a beating, especially with the salty environment that we live in over here. It is, even if it rains a little bit in the desert is so full of salt, it just gets in everywhere. And we removed it and replaced, well, basically refurbed it, just sandblasted it, powder coated it once again, and she looks brand spanking new. So no change there. No change with the NSV spotlights that aren't available in the market. Such a pity. I love these lights. They've got a spread, it's just insane. Let's not touch on that. Go. So the fog lights that I had in before weren't really fog lights. I cheated the system a little bit. As you know, these lights that Land Cruiser basically brings out of the box or installs out of the box are no good. I think they're just there for aesthetics, to pass your registration or MOT or whatever it is in the country that you are, but they're no good. So I installed a spotlight as my fog lights in the past. Now, great for visibility, not so great for the other drivers coming on the opposite direction when I'm on my dims, but it was for me to be able to see what's going on. Ultravision sent me a set of Nitro Smart, and I received them, and my first impression was, you know, set of lights, okay, let's install them, you know, they've been sent to me, let's test. Man, am I impressed. Man, am I impressed. This is basically a 4-in-1 little light that fits into your bumper, nice and neat and tidy. It is a driving beam, it is a fog light, it's an indicator, and a DRL. So 4-in-1. Now the way I've set it up, I've cheated the system slightly. I haven't set it up like that. I have my indicators on the side over there. I didn't set up the indicators. However, I set up the yellow indicator beam for when I am down in Salalah in those heavy fog environment. And it is so bright that the yellow beam assists with fog. Now, any of you that have driven in heavy fog, a white light just doesn't do any good. A yellow light works a lot better. So instead of an indicator, I've wired it so that it can become a fog light in heavy fog. What I've done is I've taken the DRL, so basically the driving lights, so it's the angel lights, those will come on when I'm driving every day, so people can see me while I'm on the road, which is great. And I've taken all three of the beams over here, and I've hooked them up as part of my brights. So when my brights go on, not only are my big spotties over here helping me out, but I'm getting full potential. I'm getting a spread and a beam out of these fog lights. And you can see this right now, courtesy of the website from Ultravision, that it gives 1 lux at 500 meters. Now, for a little foggy, or a little where you would normally have your fog light, that is a massive change to the way you're driving at night and what you can see. So anybody doing any night driving out there, man, go and get yourself a set of these. You'll be well impressed, Like I say, it's early days. We arrived here pretty late in Silla, so we did quite a bit of night driving on the highway and then also off-road, and I'm super impressed. I wasn't that impressed when I received them, and I was like, yeah, fog lights, what do I talk about fog lights? But wow. Okay, moving on. Winch, I've changed the winch, right? Tough Gear Trading, TGT, also not only do they represent the top brands in Australia and parts of South Africa, they also brand some of their own products. So they go out there and find good manufacturers and then would brand it as a TGT product. Now this TGT winch, we've stuck it in. I can't tell you much about the performance of this winch yet. However, what I can tell you, great compared to the winch that I had before, is that it now has a remote control, which means that when I am winching in a situation where I'm helping somebody else, I can control the winch a lot better because I can stand away from the danger zone. The cables that you normally get, yes, they're long, but they're not long enough. 3 meters away from the danger zone is nowhere near enough. And a fellow content creator in the space, Ronnie Dahl, if you've watched those videos, and Ronnie, fantastic job on getting out there and showing the safety and security on towing on your normal tow hitch or trying to recover on that. If you have a look at those videos over there, man, it is dangerous. I've seen some wicked, horrible stories, or actually seen some things. I've actually got a mate in South Africa that lost his leg from a cable of a winch trying to winch out I think it was a truck that was stuck, and it snapped and it actually chopped his leg off. So these aren't just horror stories, they're real life things, and the fact that you have a remote that you can get as far as possible away from the danger zone really impresses me. The other part of this winch, obviously, is fully waterproof. So when we are in those environments in Salalah, dipping it into the water, crossing the rivers over there, absolutely no issues whatsoever. But we'll give a full review on that once I get to utilize it more often. I think we'll go and chuck the sand anchor into the desert and park the vehicle at the most precarious angle and see if it actually does its job. Right, okay, that's the front of the vehicle sorted. Let's move to suspension. Okay, now I was extremely happy with my TJM suspension that I had before. I thought that this truck was the most comfortable ride off-road. On the tar road, an absolute dog. Get into a corner, it feels like you're going to flip over. But as soon as we got onto the corrugation, as soon as we got off-road, it was like driving a limousine. It's like driving a 200 series when you're on the tar road and off you go, and it just feels so comfortable. This car just comes into its element when it's off-road. It is nowhere near, it doesn't like tar road, and hence we, if it's dusty, drive it. We try to spend as much time off-road because it's a hell of a lot more comfortable. It's not just because we want to show you footage of where we go off-road. It's more comfortable driving off-road than it is on. This new suspension that we've got over here from Tough Dog, we've gone with a 500 kg constant load, and yes, for most people it's probably overkill, but we're pretty heavy, we pull trailers. It is no more bumpy than it was before. I've got to tell you about the shock absorbers. 9-stage adjustable shock absorbers. It took me some time to dial it in. Well, proof's in the pudding. Listen to what my wife's got to say about it. This is what Ant said in the car a little earlier as we were driving through the corrugation. What do you think about it? Are you sitting there nice and comfortable reading and playing your games?
I'm actually not playing games,
Editing software or editing footage.
No, it's comfortable, soft ride.
The nice thing about it is, even though we're going on through these, you know, it's a pretty rutted road, or pretty corrugated road. The nice thing is when you're getting around the corners, you can keep the speed, because in the past, remember, we're around a sharp bend, we'd have to slow down, and it feels like we're going
to fall over. I hate that feeling.
Yeah. And with this, we're not getting that. Even though the suspension is nice and soft for this road, we're not getting that roll and the pitch that we used to get in the past.
Remember me sleeping and I would actually wake up from me feeling like we're gonna fall over.
Yeah. So the shock absorbers, I am over the moon. It took me a while to dial them in, but. And again, unfortunately, there are no professionals here in the Middle East or in the UAE especially. I hope to become one of those well-knowledgeable people on how to dial it in the more I use it. So you're happy to shoot me up any questions about the shock. So I picked up the phone, phoned David from Tough Dog, and had a chat with him with regards to suspensions that they've sold to people with similar setups, really heavy, pulling trailers, and how to dial it in properly. Hey, half an hour chat, changed a couple of the settings, and I think I've got it 100%. On road, it doesn't feel like it's falling over anymore. Off road, she's like a limousine, man. It's like a Ford Fairlane, just sailing across it. And it's not that soft that when I get into a tight bend on the corrugation, I don't have to drop my speed to alleviate the bouncing, and normally you've got to slow down so much, and then it's rut, and it's corrugation just to get around the corner. I can keep the speed and confidently get through the corner without having to drop my speed. Love it, absolutely love the suspension. I'm really impressed. Time will tell. We went through, this is the third set of leaf springs that we've gone through in 90,000 kilometers. Time will tell, right? Shocks, time will tell. But I've got to be honest with you here. The 9 stages, to me it was a bit of an overkill. There's just too many settings. I would like it just to be a soft off-road and a medium corrugation and an on-road setting where it's nice and stiff and you can get through the corners. But it gives every single vehicle, and understand why there's no 3 settings, come on, because every vehicle is different. So what I'm running on setting 6, you might run on setting 4 because you're not as heavily loaded. So it gives the options. Is I don't know why I'm even complaining about it, but it's fantastic. I love it. Love it. Right, so sticking with suspension. Airbag, man. Now, thank you, Ben, for sending us the kit. We've got the full-blown kit. So the airbag suspension is not or airbag man suspension is not there to be part of the suspension to assist or to be a suspension. It is there to assist the suspension. So it makes a lot of sense. If you're going to be spending the money to put airbag man in, is spending good money on a good suspension, because the airbags are there to assist a great suspension. Now, it is there to adjust the ride height. The ride height is important for your vehicle, and especially when you're pulling a heavy trailer, or you're loading up something, especially like a 79 series, that all the weight is past the back wheel and it's not in the center where your center of gravity should be for your vehicle. It is behind the rear axle. This is where airbag comes into its own, right? It assists the height, it readjusts the height, and makes sure it stiffens everything up nicely so that you don't have that wallowy feeling, especially going through a roundabout on tar road where you've got full traction, and that's where you're going to feel it most, that it feels like a truck wants to fall over. We were sent the full kit, so we've got the compressor, we've got the airbags, we've got the tank, and I can adjust it from inside my vehicle, adjust the PSI or adjust the height of the vehicle whilst I'm on the road. So going straight on from tar to a bit of gravel can soften it up nicely, and off we go. We don't have the trailer with us right now, so I love my new gadgets. I tell you what we'll do, we're at 30 psi right now, so let's drop the airbag suspension, make it nice and soft, all the way down to 10 psi, and it'll soften the ride. I'm really impressed with that. I'm still fooling around with that quite a bit, but I'm also just using it as a leveling system, because you park up and you can never get the damn truck straight, and you end up lying on top of the poor missus while we fall asleep. Now just hit the button, lift that side of the car up, and we can get the tent nice and level. Stunning product. Each of these products are going to get their own full review. This is just a run through of what we got on the vehicle. The rear of the vehicle has changed somewhat as well. In the past, I ran a 60 litre and a 40 litre fridge in the rear of the vehicle. We've now installed the drop-down fridge sliders, and the drop-down fridge slide is our own Expedition Extreme fridge slider. It is functional, it is really good positioning. That I'm loving it where it is right now, because it's freed up space where the other 40 litre fridge used to go. And you're saying, well, now what are you doing with that? What we've done is we've put in a Snowmaster 12 litre fridge freezer. Well, it's a fridge, it also freezes, but a fridge freezer in between the two front seats, and that is more than enough for us, having the 60 litre as well as the 12 litre Snowmaster. I will be changing my Engel fridge to a Snowmaster dual zone 66 litre low profile fridge. We did the tests. If you haven't seen it, check the link below. We tested all the fridges, and personally, Snowmaster, you cannot beat it. So right now I'm still running an Engel. I will be acquiring my Snowmaster pretty damn soon. So I've got all these 40 litre fridges. I think I'm going to just get rid of them all and take the money and go and get myself the 66 litre Snowmaster. With the dual zone in the back there, the drop down fridge slide, my shorty little wife can get in there nice and easy, and the 12 litre fridge now takes up that extra space, especially salads and vegetables and things like that, that it just, I hate it inside the fridge because it takes up so much space, and you can't get the fridge nice and cold for your beverages, because what it does is then the tomatoes get frozen, or the broccoli gets frozen, or the lettuce goes off, and it's a continuous moaning. However, in the front, I can set the little fridge, the 12 litre fridge, to 5 degrees Celsius like a normal fridge, and it takes care of the salad. So that's that done. What we've done as well is we've installed, and how's this rain coming down right now? Lovely little drizzle. We've installed an ERPS system. So that's an electronic rust prevention system. And that basically hooks up all the way through the chassis. And I wish I'd installed that in the beginning when I got the truck. As you know, these are notorious for rust. And basically what it does is the electronic system will obviously send a pulse through to the points that you put it on, with the chassis and the body, and it basically, that electronic pulse then repels any rust that is building up. So the rust that I've already got is going to stay, but it's not going to increase according to the product. Now that's, again, we'll run through a full review on that in a year's time. I've actually taken some photos of some rust spots on the vehicle, and now the rain's coming down a little bit heavier. My camera, all right, I think we're going to cut this for now. Let's put the camera inside the car for a bit. To those of you that think we don't get any rain here in the Middle East, well, it's not just all doom and gloom, desert and heat. We do get enough rain to get everything wet. So, ERPS, we'll give you a full review of that. I have taken the photos and measured the little rust spots that I've got, and let's see how that fares over the next year. Interior. Right, so we have fitted a dash. The dashboard cover gives us additional packing space, especially for all the little batteries, the GoPros, all those goodies. Next to the seat, I've got a lovely little pouch that hooks up over there, as well as a gearbox transmission cover, basically, that goes over with lots and lots and lots of storage. Really well made. It's the same company that does our rear wheel covers. So they'll be branded Expedition Extreme as well. So there's another plug for my own business. But the Expedition Extreme wheel covers, great way that they've put together. Trash goes in, unzip the bottom to pull the trash out. There's nothing worse than trying to get the trash bag out the top and it tears, because they go in well, but once you fill it up with all the rubbish, you can never get it out. So the zip at the bottom where it falls out, and you don't get any torn bags. Right, so, oh yes, touching on the solar, I've also run an additional cable on the solar. Now, getting back to the tent has the solar on the roof, and Bundertop actually produces the cabling, the wiring inside the tent. So when the tent goes up, that you just plug an Anderson plug into the tent from your solar panels, and to the vehicle, you'd plug in at the bottom of the tent. So when it extends, all that wiring is already included inside the tent for you. It's nice and neat, but what I've done is I've installed an additional Anderson plug that goes straight to the red arc, where I can run my flexible panels. So I'm running 200 watts on the roof and 200 watt flexies where I move wherever the sun goes to get that optimal voltage and wattage, or watt hour from the solar panels. Now, for driving at night and spending a lot of time around the campfire at camp, lighting is important. Now, we've got the yellow national lunar lights installed into the kitchen, into the gull wings. So the one side is our kitchen, and then in the rear door, above the little table, the drop-down table from Big Country, we installed a yellow light over there. But sometimes that's not enough, especially when we're trying to film in the evening. I have put working lights all around the vehicle. Now, I've positioned them in such a way that they shine pretty, about a 45-degree angle from the roof rack down onto the ground, because they're twofold. They work twofold. So when I'm driving at night and we're going through rocky terrain like this lunar landscape here in Silla, it is important to be able to see where the tracks or where your vehicle's tires are going. The sharp edges on the rocks over here are tire slicing machines. And especially when you have a trailer, you need to see where those wheels are going. So the working lights, flick them on, and I've got full view around the vehicle driving at night. Additionally, I've also installed rock crawling lights, got them from the States. I think a company called X-Ray. Again, it wasn't given to me, it's something that I purchased. Installed them into the side step, and they shine in front of the rear wheel and just behind the front wheel, and give me a nice LED lighting over there where I can be absolutely confident driving through any kind of sharp, rocky terrain and position my wheels where they're going to get the least amount of damage. They're also fun because they change colors and all kinds of things. So if you're into all that kind of stuff and you want strobe lights and stuff like that when you're at camping with your mates, it also does that. For me, I stick it on the white light and use them when I'm driving. But it's a great light as an ambient light when you're at camp as well. Just sticking them on. Have a look at this. We did a little time lapse the other night and it actually looks quite good, and it gives off enough light that's not sharp light, but enough light around the vehicle, so when you're walking around the vehicle, especially if you camped out on rocks like we parked right now, you don't want to twist your ankle or do something stupid while camping. So keeping yourself safe, those lights work really well. I think that's it for now, the overview on the truck. So that gives you a complete overview. Each one of these products we're going to be going through in depth. Each one of the products that we've been sent from Tough Gear Trading, so the Red Arc, the Tough Dog suspension, Airbag Man, Ultravision, the lithium-ion batteries which we bought, the working lights, the electronic setup, the whole electrical wiring setup we'll go through in depth as well. Each of these videos are coming out pretty rapidly at the moment. The entire truck that was built with the assistance of the guys at Icon. As you know, Icon Auto is the garage, my go-to garage. It has been, I've built maybe 10, maybe more, 10 or 11 vehicles in the last 16 years of me living here in the United Arab Emirates. Built it with them, and I really trust the work that they do, and I've really been happy with this. The electronic system, Randy, who is their head electronic guru over there, did such a great job putting the wiring together. We worked well as a team. Ricardo, their chief mechanic, putting all the mechanical gear together over here, servicing everything in 90,000 kilometers. We did every single kind of diff oil, transmission oil, every joint, greased up everything. This truck's better than it was out of the box. But working well with the team over there and trusting the work that they do, it was a pleasure working with them, and I thank you so much for your support over there, Icon Auto. Guys, without you, we could not have turned out a beautiful truck like this. And I think the most important part of that is not just the mechanical work, it is the electronics. And we rely so heavily on electronics, especially filming this and making sure that the fridges are running and the cameras are charged and everything's working 100%, that putting that wiring system and the whole electronic box with all the fuse boxes and everything inside it, putting that together, top notch, guys. Thank you so much for your assistance and your support over there. Other than that, things are pretty much the same. Always going to run BF Goodrich. Still very happy with the KM3s. Love them to bits. Off-road tire, insane. I've still got the front runner roof rack. The front runner, two of the front runner tables, one in the front, one in the back. Other than that, oh, I don't have the light bar on. So the light bar still needs to go on. There's still, like I said in the beginning, is 99.5% done. There's a bit of work that I need to do in the interior still, as well as getting the light bar back on. Other than that, I'm happy with my new truck, and I've got to say thank you to everybody that's supporting us over here, my Patreon supporters, TGT, Red Arc, Ultravision, Tough Dog, Airbag Man, SanDisk, SpeedX, Icon Auto. Guys, you guys are incredible. And ERPS, don't forget ERPS, the rust prevention system. I can't wait to see how well this actually works. We actually should get one and install it onto the trailers as well, and have a look how that works, but we'll keep you posted on that. Thanks for watching the show. If you want to see more content, please support us on Patreon. Get onto our Patreon, Expedition Extreme, get onto Patreon over there and go and click whichever button you want. $1, $10, $100, hey, $1,000, we can do with $1 million. Jokes aside, but get on there, support us on Patreon, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, if it's dusty, drive it.